Alright, in this one I want to take a look at Ethereum. I want to talk about some of the developments that happened and go over some of the very key support levels that we formed on this move to the upside. The last time I made an Ethereum video was late February, so sometime over here. And since then, we've had a few developments. We saw a similar thing to what Bitcoin did, where we came down, broke the bullish structure that we were in before then, coming up to put in higher highs anyway. And even though Ethereum and Bitcoin are similar in that way, the main difference is that Ethereum has not broken its weekly bearish structure. So Bitcoin, since it actually came down to put in lower lows in November, that meant that the higher high that Bitcoin put in around August, around the same time that Ethereum put in that high, which would be this lower high right here. That was the last lower high in the weekly market structure. So when we, came up and closed this weekly candle above this level, we broke the bearish weekly market structure. So Bitcoin is in a different position on the weekly time frame than Ethereum is, because not only is this high up here not the last lower high in the weekly structure, that would be this high up here, since we haven't put in a lower low to this low. So this was the last lower high before the last lower low. This is all just internal structure. So not only is this not a significant market structure point on the weekly, Ethereum hasn't even come up to those highs yet. We are still, if we take a measured move, about 12% below the highs that Ethereum put in August, whereas Bitcoin is a little bit above those. So Ethereum and Bitcoin are in different spots according to weekly structure, but their daily structure is very similar. We have this uptrend that we seemingly broke with this low, but then that ended up just being a false break of structure, or whatever you want to call it, because we then came up to put in these highs, and we topped out at a significant level I had marked out. It was a daily order block and a 786 from, I'm assuming, those highs up there. And yeah, we wicked above the 786 a little bit, but came right into that order block. And just like Bitcoin, we are seeing the divergences on the higher time frames on the daily. We saw clear divergence. Money flow was actually in the red as we put in this last high. So momentum and money flow have come down a lot. We can go down the time frames and you can see pretty much similar things to Bitcoin. And, I'm going to say the same thing like I said with Bitcoin. I really don't know which way things are going to go here. So if you're looking at Market Cipher alone, you would think that things really need to come down a little bit, really need to consolidate, spend some time in the red, let this money flow recoup, because we've seen some really large divergences here with high time frame money flow. So, things definitely look bearish. We saw bearish signs as we came into resistance, but I would say that, what Ethereum does is going to largely depend on what Bitcoin does. And the truth of the matter with Bitcoin is that the weekly is looking very bullish. We have broken market structure confirmed with this close well above the last significant high, even though we did SFP it prior. And weekly market cipher is objectively looking bullish. Money flow has been increasing greatly and is getting very close to crossing green. Momentum is continuing up, not really showing signs of weakness. So with that in mind, I would have to say that my bias for the medium term for most things is probably going to be bullish, unless we see something that completely voids the weekly bullishness, which we would have to probably come down and put in a lower low on the weekly with a close, which would mean we'd have to come all the way down past this wick at 19K. So, unless that happens, I will still probably be leaning more bullish, at least in the more macro sense, which doesn't mean that we can't come down for midterm retracements. And in fact, I think that is pretty probable now, especially since very locally we are in kind of a downtrend here. You know, some weird highs here where we had equal highs, but then we started a little downtrend here with lower high, lower low. Came up to SFP the highs. You know, you can call that an anomaly because we then came down to put in lower lows again. So, you know, we are ranging right here, but it is a slight downtrend at the same time. So if we begin retracing, you know, to the downside to look for support somewhere in this area again, I do have some key levels marked out, some pretty interesting ones in my opinion. So firstly, I have a fixed range pulled around this range over here, and I think I'm going to leave that separate from this chunk of price action here, and I'm just going to take the volume of the uptrend as well and kind of have these two things separately. And, you know, right off the bat, the value area low is lining up pretty nicely with the previous range point of control. And we had somewhat of a support resistance flip in this area with support right there. And, I mean, in general, we've held resistance on this zone. You know, we held support on it in this area too. So I'd say that is a significant zone. I pulled the fib from this low to this high, and the 382 is right below where we just bottomed out. You know, we put in a wick above it, which means we could SFP into it, and that is lining up with the previous range value area high. Also was a key area of resistance in the past. You know, we also held some support on it right there. And the golden pocket of this fib is lining up with the previous range value area low. Also, again, a key support resistance flip. We had support in this area and then some resistance right here as we kind of deviated from the range. And then again, some support in this area. And the 786 is also lining up at a support resistance flip. We had resistance in this zone and support right here. So, you know, I'd say all of these fib levels are looking pretty significant. And I also marked out some order blocks that we formed on the way down here. And very interestingly, this 6-hour order block is right in this zone between the value area high and the point of control of the previous range, this value area low, and this 382. You can see right here, this purple candle in between those blue candles. Yeah, this order block is looking pretty juicy. And this zone is coming in between 1676 and like 1640. And then we also have an order block around the golden pocket. We have a 2-hour order block. You can see this purple candle right here, and we have not tapped this yet, even though it was kind of close right here. This is still untapped, so I think that will be significant as well. And this is coming in between 1564 and 1524. Again, this is a pretty key support resistance flip as well. So if price works its way down here, I will be very interested in this level. And, you know, all of these order blocks, you know, have the potential to form a higher low on this kind of daily structure. And, you know, we could continue this uptrend. And lastly, this 12-hour order block down here around the 786. You know, all of these order blocks have some very nice confluence. They're all key support resistance flips. They're all, you know, fib levels in these cases. So you can see that purple candle in between those blue ones. And that is coming in between 1483-ish and 1460. So, yeah, I think all of these zones are looking very juicy. You know, they're all very nice confluence with support resistance levels and fib levels. And if we continue putting in lower lows, you know, if we see a massive retracement here, there are some key order blocks down below us as well. We have a daily order block right here. Not a whole lot of confluence around this one other than it is, you know, below the macro value area low. It is also, you know, a key support resistance flip, you can say, with support right here and resistance back here. So, you know, I would be interested in that, but the more juicy level, in my opinion, is this weekly order block that we formed down here at these lows, this purple candle right here, because we also have an untapped monthly level right in the middle of that order block. So those are, just some juicy levels I have marked out below. Obviously, things would have to look pretty bearish for price to get down there. We would have to kind of break this daily structure bearish again. So you have to keep that in mind, but still, these are some juicy confluences. But for right now, if we continue this little local downtrend that we're in, these are all areas that I think we could potentially put in a higher low at, and maybe then continue the structure. I think it would make sense for things to kind of come down and retrace, and kind of build up steam again for another move to the upside later. Just considering how bearish most daily time frames are looking, but also how bullish most weekly time frames are looking. I mean, including Ethereum as well. Weekly money flow is about to cross green. Momentum is looking decent, putting in higher highs, not really showing weakness. So I do think that, this is a likely scenario, getting a retrace down to some of these support levels to potentially put in a higher low. And the key levels to the upside are still pretty much the same. I may at some point go over some more macro resistances if we start to look a little bit more bullish on the macro time frame for Ethereum. But again, I think the main thing to keep in mind is that weekly market structure for Ethereum will not flip bullish right now unless we take out this high all the way up here, or we come down to put in a lower low and then come up to take out this high right here. Or if we put in a local higher high and then a lower low, then whatever high we put in will be the market structure point. But for right now, Ethereum is still a ways away from flipping this weekly market structure bullish. But if Ethereum is just going to be doing what Bitcoin is going to be doing, then maybe it doesn't matter too much. And very locally for Ethereum, really the only thing I would be super interested in right now would potentially be a swing short of some sorts to maybe try and ride it down to some of these key supports. And right now, this 4-hour order block up here is catching my eye. It's right around the value area high of this range. In fact, I bet if I just take a range of this section right here, it will be above the value area high or right around it. And I was correct. So, that 4-hour order block is looking nice for a potential lower high. And, that could give a nice risk reward even if you put your stop loss above the high, even if you're betting on a lower high being put in. You could target this order block down here or that 382 and, not great risk reward, but it's still possible. Maybe, you can even refine it and maybe try and take profits a little sooner. Maybe just ride it down to the value area low. That would give you a better risk reward, but it could also have a lower probability of playing out. Let's see if there's any other confluence around there, like a 786 or Golden Pocket. And I mean, it is right in between those two, so that's a little bit more confluence. All right, well, I think that is about it for this one. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed, please consider leaving a like and subscribing. I really appreciate the support, and I'll see you all in the next one.